Welcome to our talk 362, Reporting Research, Design, Population and Sampling in Mixed Methods Research. First of all, let us talk about what is mixed methods research report writing. So, as you already know, mixed methods research report writing integrates both quantitative, means numerical, and qualitative, means textual approaches. It systematically documents, systematically writes how both types of data were collected, number one, analyzed, number two, and interpreted, number three, to address a unified research. This report writing means mixed methods report writing includes number one, justification for using mixed methods. Why mixed methods was used to report that very study which is being reported. Secondly, explanation of use of the particular design, whether it is convergent or sequential. Third, we describe separate data collection methods for qualitative and quantitative components. 4. We clearly describe how the findings of the both were connected or integrated. Reporting convergent parallel design. So, quantitative and qualitative data were collected simultaneously, analyzed separately, and then merged for joint interpretation. This is an example of report writing. Instead of telling what is report writing, I am giving a generic example of report writing which is more close to actual reporting your research. Second point, this design was employed to compare and contrast findings from different sources, thereby offering a more comprehensive understanding of research problem. For instance, this study gathered survey data from teachers and conducted interviews of some of them at the same time to explore the challenges they faced in teaching. So, convergent parallel design report writing actually takes benefits of the strengths of both types of research, means qualitative and quantitative, and the weakness of one is covered by the strength of the other. Second design is reporting explanatory sequential design. Again, I am giving a generic example of reporting instead of talking about reporting. So, point 1 is the study first collected and analyzed quantitative data, which was followed by a qualitative phase to further explain or elaborate on the initial findings. What happens? First, we collect the quantitative data, analyze it, go to findings, and then to know the reasons of those findings, we conduct qualitative research. Point 2. This design helped uncover the underlying reasons behind statistical results by complementing numerical trends with rich narratives. So instead of giving short findings from the data, we add narratives in those findings which we get from interviews as part of qualitative phase of the study. For example, after identifying a statistically significant gender gap in mathematics achievement, follow-up interviews were conducted with the selected students to explore the contextual and psychological factors contributing to the observed disparity. See, the quantitative study gives the difference and qualitative study gives the reasons of that very difference. So, both complement each other. Third part of reporting exploratory sequential design. The research begins with collecting and analysis of qualitative data. See the reporting. First, we conducted interviews. Our interviews were conducted with teachers to examine their motivational strategies. Point 3 is getting insight from those very strategies. What we do, we go to point 3. The themes identified through these interviews guided the development of a questionnaire, which was subsequently administered to a larger population to support generalization of the findings. So, from qualitative part, we actually find some findings and then we use quantitative part to generalize those very findings. We can see it in other words that qualitative study tells us what is there and the quantitative study tells us the quantity of that very thing which exists. Second point is about reporting the research design. The research design section clearly explains the following elements. Number 1, the rationale of using mixed methods. See a generic example. The study justified the use of mixed methods by demonstrating the need to explore both quantitative trends and qualitative insights to fully address the research problem. Here particularly we give evidence why we used mixed methods. Number 2, the type of design and its structure. See the example. An explanatory sequential mixed method design was adopted wherein quantitative data collection was conducted first and was followed by qualitative exploration. This structure allowed for initial measurement of outcomes which were then elaborated upon through in-depth qualitative analysis. So, see how these words describe type of the design and its structure. How they describe, first they used quantitative and then qualitative. Now come to sub point 3, the sequence priority and integration strategy, it also needs to be described clearly. The study identified quantitative data as the dominant strand, clarified that integration occurred during the interpretation stage, where findings from both strands were merged to provide a comprehensive understanding. The integration shows that mainly it was a quantitative study only to explain the findings. Qualitative part was done. Come to the reporting to the population. After design, let us focus on reporting the population section in mixed methods research. So, it has two slides actually. Let us talk about the first slide. The population was determined in accordance with the distinct objectives and phases of research design. So, usually in mixed method research, we use two types of population which are interconnected, which are connected to each other, and sometimes the other population is a subset of the first population, and sometimes both are distinct, but they are always linked to each other. First, for quantitative phase, the population comprised all grade 9 students enrolled in public secondary schools across the province of Punjab. Note one thing here, we do not use any proposition after comprised. These students represented the target group for measuring academic achievement levels and examining the impact of instructional interventions. So, the population was used actually to measure the level of achievement and the impact of instructional interventions. Which population? The quantitative phase. Now come to the qualitative phase. The population consisted of teachers responsible for teaching grade 9 students within the same public secondary schools. These teachers were selected as they were considered key informants who could provide in-depth insights into instructional practices, student engagement, and contextual factors influencing learning outcomes. See, the proposition has been used after consisted. So, we always use consisted of and comprised without any proposition. And see how the qualitative population has been described. The second slide of reporting population. The population for both phases was defined based on the following parameters. These are three. 1. Geographical boundaries. The study was limited to public secondary schools located in the province of Punjab, ensuring contextual coherence and practical feasibility. So, when we described our report population, we report geographical boundaries. Second thing, we describe demographic characteristics. See, the selected schools included both urban and rural settings to ensure variation in socio-educational context. So, the demographic characteristics are there. Thirdly, the relevant institutions. Only those schools that were recognized and operated under the administrative jurisdiction of the provincial education department were included in the study. So the description of relevant institutions is also there. Now we come to the point 4. It has also 2 slides. So it is sampling section. So sampling is usually very important, and it is asked in the VIVAs and even in the interviews for job selection purposes. So it should be clear. Separate sampling was recognized as a critical component for ensuring validity and credibility of findings in this mixed method research. As described earlier, I am describing this slide as part of the report. So you can adapt this report writing manner to your thesis. So we come to reporting quantitative sampling. For the quantitative phase, a probability sampling method was employed. Specifically, stratified random sampling was used to ensure representation across key strata such as school type, rural or urban, and gender, male or female. So see, they have described that the probability sampling is there and stratified random sampling is there, and reason to use that very sampling also there. A total of 400 grade 9 students was selected from public secondary schools in Punjab, so sample size is there. The sample size was determined based on statistical requirements for inferential analysis and was justified by the need to ensure sufficient power for detecting meaningful differences between subgroups. So, number 1, the number was determined by statistical requirements or procedures. We need to give those very procedures and reference to that. And secondly, every subgroup should have a sufficient sample so that statistical analysis may be made. Now come to reporting qualitative sampling. For qualitative phase, non-probability sampling was adopted. Usually we go for it. A purposive sampling strategy was used to select 10 teachers who had substantial experience with differentiated instruction. So see, the purposive sampling and criteria to select members are the individuals who are part of that very purposive sample. The participants were chosen based on their ability to provide in-depth insights into instructional practices, student motivation, and contextual challenges. This is criteria to select purposive sampling. Just naming the purposive sampling is not enough for reporting. The sample size was justified based on the principle of data saturation, where no new themes were emerging from additional interviews. So usually in purposive sampling or qualitative sampling, we actually continue data collection until the saturation point is reached. Now come to the second slide of reporting sampling section. So how we integrate both the sampling strategies of qualitative and quantitative components of research. Number 1, the integration of sampling strategy ensured methodological coherence and strengthened the interpretive power of mixed methods findings. So both types of sampling are actually interconnected by the common purpose of improving the interpretive powers of the findings. Number 2, participants for the qualitative phase were selected from schools where the student had demonstrated either high or low levels of achievement in the quantitative phase. See how the students and teachers were connected with each other. The approach allowed the study to explain trends observed in quantitative data by drawing on the lived experiences and interpretations of educators within the same context. So, where the students were either getting high level of achievement or low level of achievement, their teachers from the same schools were interviewed to know the reason. See how both populations are connected with each other. We come to the point 5, or summary tips for mixed methods research reporting. So what we do, we actually align our research design with the research questions at 3 points. Define population clearly for both strands or components, I mean qualitative and quantitative. Secondly, justify sampling methods separately for quantitative and qualitative phases. Thirdly, explain how and where integration occurs. In parallel design, it is in the end, and in sequential design, it is in the middle. So final tip, use diagrams and tables to visually present your design, which is ideal for thesis reviewers and VIVA panels. Thank you very much for being with me. See you in the next talk. Assalamu alaikum.